The Machine's Trade Recommendations tool can be found under the In-Season tab. The Trade Recommendations tool uses the machine's win-based math to search your entire league for trades for you. The Machine's Trade Recommendation tool is both powerful and very easy to use. The basic tool searches your entire league for trade possibilities, and you have a lot of ways to customize those trade possibilities. The first way is with the maximum number of players from each team. You can select from 1, 2, or 3. The next thing you can do is include or tell the machine not to include certain teams by checking each of these boxes. You can also have it search for certain positions or not have it search for certain positions, again by checking the box. One important thing to realize is since this tool is searching your entire league for any number of trade possibilities, if you are searching 2 and 3 players, this can take a very long time. You can be searching hundreds of thousands or millions of trades if you do a 2x2 or 3x3 trade possibility. So if you're doing one of those, you might want to do it in the middle of the night. However, there are some other ways to work around this where you can get 2x2 and 3x3 trade possibilities and do that relatively quickly. I'm going to go through some of those possibilities now. One of the best ways I've found to use this tool is to select 1x1 trades and run a trade recommendations. And this actually goes very quickly. It's 4,000 some trades and it's going to be completed in about a minute. Now, what I like to do is I like to run through some of these trades when it's completed, make some offers to some teams, and see if I get responses from some of them. And if I do get some responses from some of them, I'll end up running a 2x2 trade for just those teams. And so I'm going to be back in a few minutes and show you some trades I'm going to offer, and then we'll look at who's responsive and we'll do some more trades from there. The machine has recognized that I have 6 very, very good wide receivers. Hakeem Nicks is my 5th wide receiver. Tavon Austin is my 6th wide receiver. Chris Givens is my 7th wide receiver. So I'm very deep at wide receiver. I have some depth at running back as well. And it's looking to upgrade some of those positions, especially for an elite defense. Now, this is a dynasty league, so some of these trades aren't necessarily the ones I'm going to want to make. But there are some very interesting things. Hakeem Nicks for Alfred Morris. That's pretty interesting. Then if I scan down, I'm actually fine with possibly Daryl Richardson for the New York Jets, or Chris Givens for the New York Jets. Hakeem Nicks for Jason Witten. Tavon Austin for Aaron Hernandez. Hakeem Nicks for Colin Kaepernick. Chris Givens for the Patriots. Possibly even Chris Givens for Blair Walsh. Chris Givens for Dennis Pitta. Daryl Richardson for Martellus Bennett. I actually like Tavon Austin quite a bit better than Bell, even though Austin won't see the field much for me. I'm not a Bell fan. Chris Givens for Matt Bryant. That's interesting. Chris Givens for Mendenhall, and Tavon Austin for David Wilson. So all these trades I'm going to make some offers out of all these and see if I get some responses. And that's where this video will pick up next. Before I show you the optimized 2x2 trade recommendation, I wanted to show you what a more standard, just basic, no optimizations 2x2 trade recommendation might look like. And this is pretty typical. In a 12-team standard league, we find it takes around 3 hours to complete a 2x2 trade recommendations. And it's doing approximately 400,000 trade evaluations. And we'll see what we can cut that down to when we do a optimized 2x2 trade recommendation. So now what I've done is I've found about 5 teams that are ready to play ball trading. They've went back and forth a few times with me, and it looks like we're going to be able to make a deal happen. I also don't really want to trade for kickers or defense with these teams, and mostly because this is a dynasty league. But you can pull off positions if you're not interested in trading for or away anything from those positions. But if we remember that 2x2 trade recommendations had about 400,000 trades, let's see how many we cut down with making these changes. We cut it down to about 100,000 trades. Now this is probably going to take around an hour, would be my guess, but hopefully we'll have some good trade options to look at after that. My 2x2 trade recommendations generated a ton of possibilities that the machine likes for me. Now again, you're not going to necessarily like every one of these trades. The machine might be trying to trade for someone who has a great week 16 matchup, or who is really going to build up some bye week depth or anything like that. So in Dynasty League especially, you should add some of your own judgment. Like, I don't think I'll do Chris Givens and Hakeem Nicks for AJ Jenkins. But Chris Givens and Hakeem Nicks for CJ Spiller, that seems a lot better. Hakeem Nicks and Tavon Austin for CJ Spiller and Jermaine Gresham, that seems a lot better. Hakeem Nicks, Tavon Austin for Alfred Morris and Aaron Hernandez, that seems good. Chris Givens and Tavon Austin for Alfred Morris and Jermaine Gresham, that seems good too. So it's giving you all these possibilities, and there's a ton of them here. I'm just scrolling through quickly so you can kind of see the idea of how many trades you could possibly get. Now, there's a lot of information here, and one of the really nice things the machine does is it allows you to download this information as a comma-separated file and use it in Excel. And from Excel, you can search for specific players, or you can sort it, and it makes it a little bit easier to manage. Now, with all this, if you still can't find a trade, now we can go up to a 3x3 trade recommendation. And this one takes quite a bit longer, but as you can see, with five teams and only 4 positions, we'll see how many trades that can give us. It gives us almost 3 million trade recommendations. Now, as you can see, this would take a very long time to process. I'm not going to show you the results of this 3x3 trade recommendation because it will look similar to that of the 2x2 trade recommendation. What I do want to show you is how to use the machine's counter proposal tool. The final part of the trade recommendations tool I'm going to show you is the counter proposal tool. This tool allows you to take an offer from a team and transform it into an offer that you would like. So I'm going to just click this "Is this a counter proposal?" button. Now the machine is going to tell me that I have to set the initial trade on the trade analysis page. So I received a trade offer of Marshawn Lynch for David Wilson. And we're going to analyze that trade. And as you'll see, it's in my opponent's favor and it's not in my favor. So I don't just want to let this die. I want to find a trade that will work. So I go back to trade recommendations and I can see these players in here. Now I can set this up the same way I would set up a 1x1, 2x2, or 3x3 trade, and I can choose which positions I want to do. So I'm actually going to do a 2x2 trade, and I'm going to do no kickers and no defenses. I'm going to run this and see if the machine can find a beneficial trade for us. So it's searching just that team for 20,000 trades, and we'll be back with what it looks like. So the machine was able to take the parameters of Marshawn Lynch for David Wilson and come up with a trade recommendation that might work for both of us. It came up with LaMichael James and Marshawn Lynch for David Wilson and Christopher Ivory. So I'm going to send that offer over and see what happens. But this is the machine's trade recommendations tool.